Hello, welcome back to the Girlfriends and Goals podcast. My name is Samaria, and I'm joined by my best friend and co-host,
Mio.
Goldilocks Shirley Temple. If you're watching on YouTube, you know why. She got her curls going on in her locks, and they look beautiful. But
Oh,
yes, you can say your name. Sorry.
no, you're fine. Miosha.
And we are here for the finale and reunion of Married at First Sight season 19 in Austin. So, give this video a thumbs up, like it, and subscribe to our channel. Then meet
Hmm.
us in the comments and let us know your thoughts about these two episodes. So, we're going to do them combined.
Yeah.
What did you think, though, about the decision day like format and the new reunion format?
So I was initially irritated with the decision day because we left off with Brittany and Will. And so
Bro.
here y'all are playing around. And I knew they were either going to be the last or the second to last. Okay, fine, whatever. So I was irritated with that. And once we got all the yeses, I felt like this was a waste of time. And I was thankful that we already had the reunion episode where we could just go straight into it. In previous seasons, obviously, we would have had to wait a week, and then the reunion episodes would have been 2 episodes at a minimum. And so I was annoyed yet grateful we could just get all the way done with it.
To it.
You?
Yeah. No, I was offended because the point of a cliffhanger is that when you come back, you get us up off the cliff. And so
No, we
I,
dangling for
I
life.
thought I missed something. Let me rewind it because we were at Brittany and Will. Why are we at Jalen and Josh now? But I did love
Mhm.
the reunion. I loved everybody being on stage at the same time, as opposed
Mhm.
to, okay, well, we start off on stage and then two people at a time, and then all the girls and all the guys, then the experts. Like, it was just excessive before, but this is
Mhm.
perfect, in my opinion.
Yeah, I will say I now that it's all said and done, I do wish we did get a little bit more. I think they swung all the way. Like if we were on the right, they swung all the way left with the amount of content
Hmm.
that we got to see. Like during this reunion, I was grateful to see a lot of the behind the scenes, but I was thinking, okay, what else did y'all have that y'all could have made the season at least a little bit longer? So we cut the episodes down in
Yeah.
half from 2 hours to 1 hour. And then we only got 13, 10 to 11 episodes.
I'm not gonna
That's
hold
not
you, Miosha. Give it to me just like this every time. Yeah.
really.
The fact that we are
Mm,
done with the Married at First Sight season, also for those who are interested in continuing to support us before the next Love is
mhm,
Blind season comes out or the next Married at First Sight season, we'll be back to posting our Am I the A-hole videos. And
mhm.
so make sure you check back for that if you want to hear our thoughts about things. But yeah, I liked it. Um, I think the only thing that could have gone wrong with having everybody on stage at the same time is that other people would continue to give input about
Mm,
everybody's situation.
mhm,
But this group was very tame. I thought they spoke when they were spoken to. I don't know what rules they gave them
mhm.
before they started filming, but I thought it was tastefully done.
Yeah, people made faces, but for the most part, minded their own business.
Yeah, I don't want more episodes. I liked it
Really,
just like
I,
this.
I wanted more background because there was just some things with certain couples where I almost felt like okay, well maybe the edit that we got didn't
Hmm.
give enough of the full picture because some of the things that these people are saying is not adding up for me.
Yeah, somebody else commented that like maybe a more behind the scenes episode or of
Hmm.
like why this person came into the process, what they were looking for. But to be honest, I never watched those before. I don't know if you did, but it
Well,
just wasn't
yeah, definitely not when we had 27
20 something
episodes.
episodes. Yeah.
No, so I never watched those, but more so just showing their interactions and different things that were going on with the couple. And I'll
Hmm.
get into it later,
Oh, okay. You
specifically
got
what I'm
examples.
thinking, but yeah, I just wanted more about their day-to-day lives.
Okay,
Even so, we can jump into Jalen and Josh,
let's
uh,
do
but
it.
but this is one couple where I felt like, okay, they just kept saying, oh, their biggest challenge was Burning Man. You're marrying someone and your biggest challenge is a festival. Was this all that they gave them?
Hmm. Okay, fair. We could skip through their decision day because there wasn't a whole lot to say. They talked about how there were two different people in two different lanes. And I said, what are the two different lanes? Because I mean, they're not the same person, but I wouldn't expect to be in the same lane as a stranger who I just met. Honestly, you're my best friend, and I don't expect to be in the same lane as you. Maybe your lane is next to mine, but what
And
does
they
that
said like,
even
oh,
mean?
but we're in two different lanes in life. Give us more in terms of
Examples.
finances, career, when you
Yeah.
want to start your family. We know nothing.
Yeah.
I will say, going into decision day, I thought Jalen. Initially, I said, "Oh, they'll both say yes." As
Mm-hmm.
the season progressed, I felt like Jalen would have been a no because she, for me, gave very take it or leave it energy.
Why'd you pause?
I want to know what you think.
I thought she would be a yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's mostly because I don't think there was anything that she thought was so significant after 8 weeks that she should leave for. I knew there would be
Hmm.
other things that would come up down the road. But again, because it's 8 weeks, I think she went in thinking the things that have come up are things that we can navigate. Even though, according to people who leave comments on our
Hmm.
YouTube, uh, Josh has been a red flag for some time. He's said the little lies here and there. We don't really trust him that much, and so, but I don't think Jalen processed things in that way. So I thought
Okay.
she would say
Yeah, I
yeah.
think her just being like, oh, well, you could just go find someone who more aligns with you. Or
Yeah.
maybe she was just saying that. But either way, she was a yes. He was a yes.
Okay.
Fast
Yeah. Go ahead.
fast forward to the reunion.
Hmm.
Let's see. So she did go to Burning Man after all that fuss. Girl, stand on business.
I was just, I was hoping she would stand her ground and have a backbone a little bit. Like, you can't, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But I also fully expected that he would continue to try to convince her. So that didn't surprise me.
Exactly. And it proved that he was just saying what he needed to say for her to say yes. And then now she finds herself in a marriage where she's like, I don't want to be an unsupportive partner. And
She said I adapted his lifestyle, and I don't think that it if you are content with that, you're content with that. That's your business, but it's not
Mhm.
necessarily something that I would advise someone who's close to me to do. I think she's clear about who she is. She's clear about what she values, what she enjoys, and I would just much rather her have a partner who is confident enough to stand in his interest while she stands in her own. And then, yeah, if there are things that we're both interested in, wonderful, but we don't have to be carbon copies of each other.
No. So they went. She says that she had a great time. And then I guess, go ahead.
Oh, did she say she had a great time on the video when they were at Burning Man? Or did she say that when she was on the couch? I can't remember.
I thought she said it on the couch.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I just
I
couldn't
thought
remember
she's,
when it was.
I thought, I could be wrong though. But then she shares that they broke up 3 months ago, I guess before the reunion. So if this was in October, I guess August. So they lasted over a year, I guess, or
Yes.
right about at a year.
Yeah. And she said he broke up with her on vacation. And he corrected and said, well, no, we didn't break up on vacation. She said, no, we did. But then she convinced him to stay. And then 3 days later, he broke up with her at home. What, what do you make of this breakup? Why? What do you think compelled him to break up with her?
I think I don't know. The thrill of it was gone. I don't know if he was ever really fully into her. And I don't know, maybe I'm reaching here, but as much as he was saying, like, oh, I just want someone else to be so passionate about it like me too, I think a part of him just wanted maybe to win. Like, once he got what he wanted and he knew he could convince her of a lot of things, swimming with a shark, jumping out of a plane, I don't know.
Jumping off a
Once she,
boat.
yeah, once she folded so many times, maybe he just wasn't interested.
The thrill of it was gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think he got what he wanted and it wasn't an adventure anymore. And I wish he would have. I don't know if he knew that about himself before coming on this show.
Mhm.
He probably did and just wanted to get what it was that he wanted. Go ahead,
He
sorry.
said something to me that let us know that he knew this about himself. He said, "Yeah, once I knew when I bought another motorcycle, or I bought a truck too, I
Mhm.
knew that something was wrong." He was bored. Also, it made me question: was he ever really into
Interest.
her?
Yeah,
It just seemed
some
like it
people,
was something to do,
right? Because some people
which is
just
so
need
crazy.
people who they talk to. Like you don't need a wife. You just need somebody who you talk to a little bit, who you have fun with. And if you know that's who you are, why would you waste this woman's time? Also, I believe Jalen, sorry, I keep saying
Hmm.
Jordan, but Jalen should not have given in, so quickly to not even so quickly, but at all to all the things that he wants. And I hesitate to say that because I don't want to come off as if I'm saying people shouldn't compromise with their partners or do things that, would
Hmm.
make their partners happy. I think, in a relationship where there's reciprocity, that
Hmm.
would be something you would do. But for this situation,
It was too many things
it was
within a
too
very
many
short period of
things.
time.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so she said he's always chasing the next shiny thing. And we see that.
Hmm.
So
And
yeah.
then he also said that he didn't feel connected to her. I wish we would have got a follow up of,
Yeah.
okay, well, was it because she wasn't passionate of, like, what was it, and when did you realize that you didn't feel connected to her? It
Yes.
just seems like it was something to do. I I'm not that surprised by this.
Hmm. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I, 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 I'm surprised that they lasted as long as they did. But
hmm.
something about this just gives he wanted the experience of married at first sight, but not to actually be married.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Given all the little white lies, I think he, in my opinion, was doing enough things during filming to
Hmm.
give her pause from
Yeah.
saying yes.
And for him to say, "Oh, she's a level 2 on adventure," when the adventure said, she said, "I did 5 raves, Burning Man, every
Did too
festival." And,
much.
and Jalen, this is one thing. Like, you cannot, like, you can't just give into everything the other person wants. Like, and not to
And
say
it
you have
was
to
so
play the
uneven.
game, but
To me, that's where yes, you could give, but if it's so uneven, no. Because I didn't see where she was given anything. Also, they never followed up on, okay, well, what did the sense of community look like while in Austin and just living normal life week to
Mhm.
week?
Yeah.
It's crazy that because your partner can't connect with you on things that you do on a rare occasion is
Yes.
what would lead to a divorce. What
Yeah.
about the day to day? Okay.
And I just wish people would find themselves before they get married. But in his case, we think he knows himself very well and just wanted this opportunity. For what though? Like, people aren't getting famous off of Married at First Sight anymore.
He says, oh, I lost myself in the relationship. How?
How? Because it sounds like she did. Yeah.
She gave into all of your wants. or at least the ones that you publicly said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, he got bored.
Yeah. Okay.
And then she confirmed he lied about the little things all the time. We could have told
Yeah.
you that.
And then he's like, but I guess they saw him, or her friends saw him with somebody else. And he was like, oh, I don't think we should tell her about it. He's like, but how is that a lie? And I think Josh is too old to not know that a lie by omission is still a lie.
Mhm.
Like, grow up, you
And I'm
know?
assuming that was after they broke up. So he just didn't want her to know how soon he was.
And he's like, I didn't want to hurt her more than I had already hurt her. As if
Yeah,
you care.
the way you told this woman to pack her bags in the middle of the night,
Isn't that insane?
and I hope she didn't.
I hope she got a good night's rest. Well, she probably didn't get a good night's rest, but
Mm.
that's insane.
Anyways, that
Okay.
that was
Also,
that.
they got a dog together during the time they were together, and then she kept the dog. It wouldn't be me. He would be left with that dog. But I
Well, I
understand
think
she's a
she
dog
wanted,
person and wants, yeah,
yeah, something to bond with,
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah.
But she has a dog already. No, not that one dog
Mm,
replaces another, but she is the
she
one who came
did.
into the
Oh, she
relationship
did.
with a dog, right?
I thought those were his dogs.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I could
Well,
be wrong. I don't know.
Josh, if you did this to be famous, you're already not memorable. So
Oh,
I don't know what to say. Like it's just not he's not memorable enough that he would be the
and I
breakout
don't even
star of
know
the
that
season.
it's fame. It's just an exciting thing to do. It's just,
Mhm.
oh, I did this.
Fair.
Ooh, now it's over. And for
Hmm.
him, he'll move on. No one will remember. Probably next year we'll be on to the next cast, and yeah,
Absolutely.
he'll be on to his next adventure. So,
Okay.
and
Fair.
Jalen said it, but you knew this the whole time.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
never Miss Adventure Princess.
Yeah. I hope that she's learned a lesson about, just being who she is and being confident in who she is and not needing to bend so much for somebody who wouldn't even twist a little bit for her.
Can you
All right.
imagine? Ugh.
Pat and Rhonda.
Okay.
All right. So on decision day, I thought Rhonda looked very cute in her dress.
She did.
I thought
She
that was a
did.
beautiful dress. It's funny. Pat's body language was very telling, but I thought it was interesting that they asked Miss Rhonda how she was feeling, and she shared a little bit, but then she turned it around and started to analyze him. And I'm like, no, how are you feeling? Like it seemed like it was always a thing of, well, let's put the attention on him and what he's not doing or what he's doing incorrectly.
Oh yeah, and she came in with the attitude of, I think we both need to follow our hearts. I think we both need to do what's best for us. So it was giving, oh, she could be a no, and she seemed to be fine with it. But I think what set her off was when she realized his body language that
Hmm.
he was going to be a no.
Which I mean, if she could read the room that well, I wonder why she didn't do it as much throughout the season. But she read him like a book. She said, I am looking at him right now and his hands are in his lap, which tells me that he's decided not to hold my hand moving forward. I thought it was beautifully stated. And he
But
said,
not what the experts asked her.
you're right, not at all what they asked her. But he said, yeah, you're right. That's exactly it. And then I was so proud of him for considering himself in ways that he hasn't before.
Hmm.
He said, I don't feel like I will be felt or heard. So I appreciated that he shared how hard he's been trying to meet her needs and be a good husband to her, but still, he's still failing. So,
And And ultimately, they both were saying the same things about each other. He wasn't feeling, felt, seen, heard. And we heard that the entire season with her.
mhm.
This is where I wish the experts would have dug a little bit deeper on that and holding her accountable, because I don't know, it just felt as though she was once again able to skate by.
Yeah, I have felt this about several couples on these shows, but to me, it felt like an open and shut case.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like when there's an open and shut case, close it.
Yeah.
But they kept going in circles so much that here goes Mr. Pat changing his mind.
And she was being a little manipulative too because she asked him, well, how would you know if you're able to be your authentic self if you claim you've never been able to be yourself? Okay, Miss Rhonda.
Yeah. I too agree that he should have stuck to his guns, and that's something that she said later on, um, down the road, like in the reunion.
To me, the only way, what I was looking for from her was acknowledging where he kept saying, you think I don't care.
Mhm.
Let's go down that road. He's doing all these things to show you that he cares. How do you land at he doesn't care? And if I were him, if she couldn't acknowledge that, there was definitely no, I mean, they already shouldn't have moved forward, but there's definitely no way. She couldn't even acknowledge that she had been misreading him the entire time.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of accountability that she lacked, but I also I felt like he started so strong in articulating those things, and then just kind of fell off. I believe on this show you should trust your first instinct, and I
And stop
understand.
talking.
Yeah, I understand the past it's worked differently for different couples. I think I've seen enough. You know, I've been around the world, and I've just seen enough of this. Like, and it's ridiculous.
And nothing about her gave that she was even interested in changing. In that conversation, I wanted to ask Pat, what about this conversation is giving you an inkling that she's open?
Yeah,
Nothing.
yeah. I knew it would be short lived. But do you want to go to them at the
Yeah.
reunion? Okay.
Hmm.
So at the reunion, I felt like there were some things I still didn't get clarity on.
Okay.
So one of the things was that I don't know if they moved in together. I don't know if that was a question that was asked and it
Yeah.
just got cut. But I would have loved to hear what happened after this. Did he move with her? Did he keep his place? There was something she said that made me think they were still living separately. Like she said, "Oh, we met up for dinner, and so were y'all coming from two different
Hmm.
places just that day, or do you
Hmm.
live in different places?" So I just wanted some more information on what happened.
Yeah, and during the 9 months, so
Mhm.
we hear why I guess they ended up breaking up. But during the 9 months, was he listening better? Were there less arguments? Was Rhonda feeling more heard? We don't know because they jumped to, I guess, the finale is he's meditating about how to deal with anger.
He went to Europe,
Oh, yeah, he went to Europe for a month. She's not able to go.
yes, but she
So
was
really, y'all were
invited.
together for 8 months. Hmm.
Huh?
I said, really, they were together for 8 months because if he was away
Or
for 4 weeks, he had a break.
which can we just? I was surprised that they lasted 9 months or 8 months.
That's why I was like, was
My
he
mind
listening
was
better?
blown. Yeah.
What was happening during that time?
Hmm. Hmm.
But either way, he goes to Europe, he comes back, he's meditating. She prompts him about, is he angry or feeling like he is? He says yes. Apparently, they hadn't been intimate since he had returned. It had been 10 days, and he was feeling a way about it and saying that his needs weren't being met. And Pat just said, I'm done. Um,
If that is how it happened, I do think he could have articulated his needs, but if he was already over it and maybe they weren't needs anymore that he was looking for to be fulfilled by her, then I can get it. But I don't think it's fair to be in your feelings for 10 days. Also, I'm sorry, I'm gonna
mm,
let you say something, but the way that she said, "Oh, I heard him meditating and it was about anger," and that after his meditation was when she asked him these questions. Imagine you've meditated and you're feeling in a better place, and then that's what you run into right after. That's exhausting.
you would have to start over
I'm gonna go
because
meditate again.
take a long walk or something. But
Hmm.
according to her, she had lost some interest in the romance and intimacy even before that. Apparently, she was already turned off by him flip flopping. And so, what that said to me was there had been an extended period, maybe off and on, where they were maybe going longer stretches of not being intimate.
Hmm.
And while he could have said, you know, this is bothering me that we're not being as intimate, she also was carrying feelings about him and not telling him. And so, what it sounds like to me was he takes this 4 week trip, he comes back, it's another 10 days. So, at this point, it's boiled up, but she been knew she lost some sense of romantic, intimate interest in him based off how he handled decision day. What
You
did
feel
she say?
like
That
she
he's a
didn't tell
really,
him?
hmm?
Just from what we've seen of her, do you feel like she really didn't tell him?
I'm not sure she told. I can't say for sure. I can't
Right.
say for sure,
You can't.
but it sounds as though if he was already at the point of, I don't want to be with you, because like, what would the follow up to the conversation be around, like, oh, you're an insecure man, I'm not attracted to you anymore? For you to last 9 more months after that is crazy.
Also, sorry to the lasting 9 more months. She had it in her head. She said that she was gonna give this a year. And so I feel like maybe it was a little bit of a game to her of I decided it's gonna last this long. That's how long it's gonna last. And maybe he ended it before, because if it was 9 months, maybe she was
Mm-hmm.
going for the 3 more months. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe she had decided she was gonna end it at a certain time and then he ended it before she could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say if she told him or not. I just would wonder what the follow up would be. My guesstimation is she was upset that he came in as a no on decision day. I think she felt a way about it, and you could even see it in her facial expressions once the energy shifted towards her.
Hmm.
Um, I think she felt a way, and I think even though she said, "Okay, we'll give it a try," she was still holding it. And
Yes.
I think knowing him, he sounds a bit like he would be long suffering. He met his boiling point once he came back and realized, like, oh, this woman just has no interest in really being with me ultimately.
We're changing, yeah.
So,
She said when he came back, the listening was great. And I chuckled a little bit when he said, oh, I did it right once. Did you hear that? Or he said that in his ref
mm-mm.
to, was it Will who was sitting next to him? Yeah. She said, well, when he came back from Europe, the listening was great. And he said, well, I did it right once. And so I thought
Yeah,
that was
because
funny.
he had a break.
But also also they had different ideas, I guess, about intimacy, which made me think about the very first episode that we saw them, like
Mm-hmm.
when they got married. Um, it seemed like Rhonda was up to fulfilling the needs that he had, because remember he had complained about that with his first marriage.
And she also said, I think, in a separate scene where one of the issues she's had is people in her age group not wanting to be as active, at least in her dating experience. So they seem to be aligned in that way
Yes, so
at first. No.
I think maybe he expected that she would be more interested in the physical, and then she said for her intimacy is, doing the things together, or
Mm-hmm.
just having space to talk to each other, whatever. It's not physical the way that he thought.
Mm-hmm.
Also, she said something like, oh, I feel like Pat came looking for a wife and not looking for me. That sounded oddly familiar to what Ikichi said last season about MM. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I also noted that when they asked about the safe word, she said a new safe word. So I said, is Miss Rhonda dating somebody else? Because she said hot potato. And then she had to correct herself and be like, oh, I mean pineapple. How many safe words you got, Miss Rhonda?
Too many. I don't know. I think he was also looking for connection and compatibility. I
Right.
don't know that I can say that. Oh, he was just looking for an insert person.
Obviously
Because
not, because he ended things.
And he would have been a no had he not talked in circles and you also was on board.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
All right. But
Okay.
they, at the end, she said she learned to surrender and that she can't control everything.
Hmm.
He said he learned to love himself.
The lack of accountability on her part during this reunion just told me not a whole lot was learned.
Hmm. I mean, did we expect that much would be learned? I think she's
No.
yes,
No, but sometimes for some people, they watch themselves back,
yeah.
and they're like, wow, I didn't realize that that was what I was doing. Or even just some of the scenes where he was clearly distracted, but she swore up and down he was ignoring her. Just stuff like that, where it's like, okay, Miss Rhonda, you could at least admit that this man did care about you.
He did. He did.
So,
It was sad to watch. Belinda
okay.
and Chad.
Okay.
All
Let me
right. So
scroll
on
down.
decision day, I have the least on them for decision. I have a few little sentences, but okay. Chad was saying, there are moments where he wasn't his best, but he believes that he did well the entire time. He brought her flowers, which I understand that is typically seen as a positive thing, but because she has mentioned that flowers don't mean as much to her, I I was like, he brought flowers. And of course Pastor Kyle was like, oh, you're doing it right, which it is a kind gesture. However, if I've told you, hey, I'm not a flowers person, and you're giving me weekly flowers or whatever, that to me can feel like you're not listening. Yeah, it's one of those situations where
Mm,
a kind act is now not seeming so kind because I've told you how I want to be loved, but you're purposely choosing to love me how you want to love me. So tiny thing,
mm-hmm.
but it just brought that to mind. She doesn't even really like flowers like that, but the appearance of you bringing flowers makes you seem a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
That's what he knows.
that's what he knows. But also with now 4 failed marriages, yeah, like you.
Mm-hmm.
I understand you want to be a caretaker. Oh, I care for people so much, and I this that. And maybe listen to how people want to be cared for because yeah, you're caring, but are you showing care in the most efficient ways
That
possible, in
resonate.
the most
Yeah.
beneficial ways? Yeah.
He just seems like he wants to do what he wants to do.
He wants to do what he wants to do. And
Mm.
hey, we're not knocking it. When
Yeah.
you get to a certain age and if you've been through a quite a few things, which it seems like he has, and career
Mm-hmm.
wise, yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. But Belinda says that, she's really yearning for a companion, but she doesn't want to lose her voice in
Hmm.
this. Um, then when they sit down, they ask Belinda what was she most proud of. She says that she came in with an open mind and really wanted to make this work.
Hmm.
I said that I think she initially came in, but I think towards the end, her mind may not have been so open given some of the things that happened that made her uncomfortable.
Hmm.
He says that he's really proud of himself in this process because this whole thing is very opposite of him. And this is why I say, we don't have to chase the opposite. You know, we can do things in a way that resonate more with us so that we can maybe be better set up for success. Um,
But people
yeah,
feel
I
like,
don't
oh,
think,
when I've been trying what I'm trying and it's not working, let me swing all the way. It's like maybe baby step, like maybe
I
a
think it
little
depends
swing.
on, I think it depends on what it is.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it
yeah.
depends on what it is.
Okay.
But either way, they
They
ask
say yes.
him.
Hmm.
He says yes,
He says, there's nothing that I've seen that makes me want to say no, and there's everything that's telling me I want to say yes.
which we knew. And then he gets down on one knee. What do you think? He
What do you think?
he proposes again,
Yeah, he asked her to stay married. I didn't see it coming considering what their last few days had been, but maybe he just likes grand gestures.
I think he likes grand gestures, and I think if he would just real, if he would do less grand gestures and just do things in a way that would make Belinda feel
The
comfortable.
grand gesture is doing things how she wants it. That's it.
Yeah, so I don't know. I could have done without the whole getting down on one knee because you're right in this woman's face. I don't know.
Hmm.
Of course, she still could have said no, but I think it was doing a bit much. And she says yes when she should have said no.
Her and everybody else. Then at decision day, we find out they didn't get far at all. So she was going to move into his place. And at first, I didn't get the idea or the train of events. So I guess she was supposed to go and spend some time at his apartment after, or his house after this
Mm-hmm.
day. She was gonna move in, but then she brought her dog over. She was still making excuses for this dog, by the way. Whether she was right or wrong, she was still making excuses for this dog. But so Chad brings his cat down, and something happens with the dog, and the cat scratched Chad.
Sad. Mm-hmm.
Okay, initially I was
And it
like,
hurt
wait,
him,
did the
yeah.
cat scratch the dog? Because
No.
yeah,
It
but
sounds
then
like the dog got excited and
mhm,
then spooked the cat. The cat climbed up on Chad, scratched him, and then
mhm.
the dog, it sounds like the dog like kind of leaped up on Chad too, and he pushed the dog down and then was like, we need to get this dog some freaking training. And of course she's upset because that's her baby. And she left. So
But I also
what was
think
it?
another
Alexis and whatever it was in San Diego where the dogs first met and the
Justin.
dog got, yeah, Justin and the dogs got hurt. Yeah.
I I think two things, Belinda, you have to come to terms with your dog's problematic behavior. I've never been around the dog, but there seems to be enough there that you can't keep excusing. And I think seeing Chad in another angry fit probably didn't do that relationship any favors.
Oh yeah, they were one little blip away. They should have said no.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
but I do think that this whole interactions with the dog and the cat and that solidified it. And it's not surprising. Even when they were showing some behind the scene footage of like the dog in the bed, like his
Yeah,
butt,
it seemed a bit much. I try not
it
to
was.
say much because I'm not, the animal person, but if, I'm sure even for people who like animals, it was a lot.
I think it was a lot. He also shares that he has some anxiety issues. I just think he got a lot going on.
Because everything seems to be a trigger, and I'm sure that's true, but if you know that about yourself, you want to be in a relationship with another person in that much of an intimate way, then you have to get things looked into, right? Because you can't just keep saying, oh, well, that's a trigger and this is a trigger and everything's a trigger. And you just expect that, well, you're going to deal with all the triggers, even if they are some that this person doesn't know. I
Mhm.
would also say seeing him, even the way that he was talking to Kevin, right? And Kevin de
Mhm.
escalated the situation, but even the way that he was talking to Kevin at the reunion would have had me on edge. Like I know that Belinda hasn't been perfect, but I saw enough in Chad that I know, like knowing
Mhm.
myself, I would have shut down probably even worse than she did, because I
Mhm.
don't like to be a part of those types of situations where you're getting snippy with people and now I'm associated with you. I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he needs to work on those things independent of trying to get into a relationship. And, some people just don't have the capacity or the interest in, especially when you're so new in a relationship of you navigating those things. Something also when they were at Megan's house and
Mm-hmm.
he goes into this whole thing about, I've been tolerating the dog for 2 months. He says, I'm the alpha.
The
I
alpha in my
knew,
home.
I knew that Belinda probably felt like if you know someone's tolerating your dog, your friend, your child, your parent, whatever, like you could just tell like, oh, you're not lashing out at them, but you're just getting through it. And I think for her, merging her life with someone who's just tolerating her dog wouldn't work. I know if that's the little bit we saw, it was probably more than that.
Hmm.
I will say too, when they were at Megan's house, I don't know, Jalen. I know you want to be linked up with your mom, and I don't know, and y'all are super close, but let your mom do her and her relationships, and you do you and yours,
Yeah.
and leave it at that. Like that's her husband. Let her navigate whatever that is. Like
Hmm.
y'all aren't the Golden Girls cackling, trying to hold him accountable. That's still your mom and her partner. So,
Well, they had broken up at that point. No, that was when
well,
she had him moved
but
in.
even how Jalen, whether they broke up or not, how she was
Yeah,
like, but
I agree.
everything is a trigger. The dog is triggered. Girl, that's not the appropriate conversation. Like
It's
I
not
just
her
couldn't
place to say
imagine.
it.
Hmm.
I say it's not her place to say it,
Right.
especially. Hmm.
It's to be said, but I just couldn't imagine talking in that tone to my mother's partner in front of a group of people. And like I just,
Hmm.
you were right to ask those questions, but not you and not that time and space. And if I was him, this young buck talking to me like that, I'm getting up out of here too.
Yeah, Megan gave him a pass and said, "Oh, I think you felt ambushed," and
Her favorite word. She had to get it in there one more time.
but yeah, and I can see how that's possible. But at the end of the day, they talked about the whole producer thing, and we
Hmm.
can't believe John. We don't know whether we could believe him or not believe
Even
him.
even what was
But
said, I think Chad said, I don't remember if it was a conversation or a text, and
hmm.
Josh quickly was like, "Oh, but it wasn't." Josh, we don't believe you. I stand on. You probably said something to Chad, and he's just not going to blast you right now because you got enough going on.
I think he said something to Chad that Chad interpreted how he interpreted, and that's
Mm,
that. Right.
okay.
That's what I think.
Okay.
But Josh did say specifically when it comes to the producers, he didn't have any issues with them. And then
Mm-hmm.
Belinda shared like the producers were accommodating, like they were doing all they could to accommodate Chad's schedule. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
she didn't appreciate how snippy he was with them
Mm-hmm.
because they were kind. So yeah, I can see how if someone's already accommodating us and they have a good rapport with me and
Mm-hmm.
you're stinking up the joint, I can just see how uncomfortable that situation had been for him.
Yeah. I do wonder if Chad wasn't those things. Like, say if he said it better or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
the case, would Belinda feel the same? That was the question I walked away with.
If he said it.
Like if he communicated it in a more polite way, or
Hmm.
it like if it wasn't about how he said it, would
Hmm.
she still feel the same way? And my takeaway is I think Belinda just wanted to have a smooth process with production. Um, and yes, she's married to this person, but doesn't want it to be like a we thing. I still think she's very much like, I
Yeah,
feel how I feel how you feel. Leave me
yeah.
out of it and leave me be, which I think is fine for her to feel that way, but she would have to be paired with someone who like is on that same type of energy and is fine with that. Cuz he was like, "Oh, well, we're married. We're married." Well, not everybody operates that way when they're
Well,
married.
there are
So,
certain people you can be a we with, and certain people you can't. And like I
yeah.
stand by if you're being nasty to other people, when I tell you I want to distance myself, if you are at the beach, let me be in the mountains. Like that's how I
Yeah.
feel. I don't want to be a we with that type of behavior. I just
Yeah,
don't.
that's what I was saying, like assuming he did it in a polite way, not that he
I
was
think if he did it in
rude.
a polite way and it was
Yeah.
just, hey, like these are the boundaries, maybe things could have been different. I think the
Okay.
one thing that probably wouldn't have changed with Belinda, and I strongly disagree with her, is this whole dog situation. Like, I think she goes hard for her dog in a way that she needs to, or if she's with someone who doesn't love dogs, she needs to maybe adapt, or she could find somebody who is obsessed with dogs and that be that. But
Yeah.
can we also
Yeah.
talk about the mention about his drinking? Because that's something that came up where, she wants to go to bed with him and he stays up late. He addressed staying up late. He says, I'm not a person who sleeps much.
Yeah, he's has trouble sleeping.
Yeah, he has
Mm-hmm.
trouble sleeping. And so he's like, sometimes I'll go and I'll turn on the TV. Like he has his ritual, like he has his thing that he
Mm-hmm.
does to try to get rest or, like respite from somewhere, the TV, the gym, the whatever. And so, yeah, I got a better understanding of what was going on. I don't think he was just not trying to be emotionally connected with her. I think he just has issues that need to be dealt with.
Yeah, and when she was saying how like, oh, when we got back home from the honeymoon, there was no intimacy, and she was like, if you would have just told me to move Lolly or whatever the dog's Loopy, whatever his name is, out of the bed, that would have been fine. But I think it's kind of a thing where like he probably shouldn't have. What did she say? Oh, well, I'm not the initiator, and if he wanted the dog out of the bed, he should have just said it so we could be intimate. But it's like I don't know.
I don't think she would have taken, I don't think she would have been as responsive to the dog
I
as she
think
did.
her perfect scenario would have been all three of them laid up in the bed, relaxing together, watching a movie until she fell asleep.
Yeah.
I think that's what she envisioned, but I just don't think that that was going to work
That's
for
his
him. And I
vibe.
don't even take that he's not an animal person because he has a
Yeah.
cat himself. I think her dog and what the dog has going on is being hyper and the
Yeah.
size of the dog, I think was just too much for him, especially sleeping in the
That's fine.
bed.
Right. Because if he was able to get in the bed with you and y'all were able to cuddle or whatever during the honeymoon, I mean, obviously the honeymoon is different from being at
Hmm.
home with your regular job and everything
Yeah.
else. But one of the things that changed was the dog. So, okay, you're not an initiator, but I think it goes back to some of the things that you said. You can see what things are making him uncomfortable and try to make him more comfortable. You can't be like, oh, well, if you don't say nothing, well, it's not a problem. You
Yeah.
can't just.
And he said, I think in the second to last episode, like I realized how important the dog was, and I just wasn't going to try to separate you from the dog. I just wasn't going to do that. And I think he peeped early on how close they were and was like, I don't even want to disturb that. So, anyway.
Especially like, because imagine now he says, okay, kick the dog out of the bed. The dog gets kicked out of the bed, perfect scenario, but he still needs to go out in the living room and put on the TV and drink his beer. Like he still,
Hmm.
so I think maybe he didn't want that level of commitment of her taking the dog out of the room because then it would have meant he
Mm,
had to show up in ways that he wasn't comfortable showing up. Like then he would have had to be in the room with her and lying down with her, and he would have had to change his nightly routine. So I almost think the
yeah.
dog was a perfect excuse for
Mm.
that.
Yeah, especially him. Because she was like, oh, yeah, he would come in for a little bit, but then he would always leave. But I could imagine if you're the person who has trouble sleeping, just laying in bed also isn't comfortable because you're
Doing
kind of up,
nothing.
yeah,
Yeah,
up
like
the whole
okay, I
night.
could be relaxing in a different people decompress in different ways. So it's relaxing for her, but that's not his method of decompressing.
And it seems like he has a lot going on, but, and this is where I would push back on him. I think he would have needed to be maybe more vulnerable about the things he had going on. Either he was either he told her and she was just kind of like aloof or didn't care, or he didn't tell her. I don't
Mm,
know which one, but I'm
yeah.
leaning towards maybe I'd hope that he wouldn't share more and she still was just kind of like whatever.
Tough luck. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe he just didn't, she was observing these things but not really understanding what's driving it, the
The root.
why.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Would you
okay.
like to do Brittany and Will next or Megan and Derek?
Let's get Megan and Derek. Yeah, let's get
Okay.
them.
So I felt like this was our, besides Jalen and Josh, this was our most certain yes.
Yes, yeah. If either one of them would have showed up and said no,
It would have been shocking.
it would
It
have.
would have been shocking. So on them, they barely talked about anything. I felt like they cut right to the chase on decision day. He said he
Mm-hmm.
loved her and he knew without a doubt he wanted to stay with her. And when she was saying yes to him, she said, I know you love Zoe as much as you love me. And I said, does he now? Because Zoe was a problem before, but now Zoe is okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool.
Okay, I guess so, but then they share that they're pregnant. I think they share that they're pregnant and then they give their yes. The
Yes.
experts are clearly shocked.
Yeah. Maybe I can make Pastor Cal the thumbnail. Where is this? Okay, hold on.
But yeah, so the experts are
Let me.
clearly shocked. They were in the dark as well. And I don't know, the experts were excited. You know, what's done is done. And
Mhm.
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I don't want to see this be a repeat thing of people getting pregnant in the process. Having a child is a serious matter.
Tell
You
them,
know,
Leosha.
this is binding you for life. And so please be careful. I just don't want to see this celebrated in that
Yeah.
way because I think everyone should do as much as they can to ensure that children are brought into the world in the best of ideal circumstances if you have a hand in it. So
Yeah.
I get the
I
experts
sound
being like,
here.
oh yeah, there goes Pastor Cal.
And I have him at like different, like,
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's just I still don't think it's ideal to be pregnant during Married at First Sight.
yeah, yeah. No.
Yeah, but either way, what's happened is happened. The experts are excited and they both say yes.
Yeah. Of course I knew something had happened just by how snatched Megan was. Like she wore a dress that clearly
But it had
showed
been a year.
it had been a year. Like,
Yeah,
but had she had the baby, she would still be pretty close to postpartum.
no, so she said, so it was filmed early 2024. She said
Yes.
her due date was November going into December of 2024.
And
So
when
by
did
the
they record this?
October of this year. So her baby would be about 11 months, almost a year
Oh,
old.
okay.
Yeah.
October of
So
2025 is when they filmed this. Got you.
yeah.
Okay.
They filmed the reunion this year. So had she
Okay.
had her baby November of last year,
Got you, got
November,
you, got you.
December, the baby would be about between
Yeah.
10 months and 12
I don't know
months.
why I thought it was like uh it was sometime last year that they did everything, including the
Oh, yeah. I
reunion
remember
and
the
everything like
scene.
that.
I think she was with her parents. She was like, oh,
But
yeah, I'm due like November, December.
they
Yeah.
did say a year and a half. I do remember,
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying a year and a half at the beginning. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And
yeah.
since she got pregnant immediately,
Mm-hmm.
that puts it at about
Hmm.
November of
And
last year.
I
But
mean,
either
she
way,
did look I mean, I've seen people snap back, within the
oh,
year,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Tiana Taylor.
Well,
But for a
that's,
normal person, I don't know that I would anticipate that she would be that level of snatch, even 11 months
oh,
after.
yeah, that would be, I think, more in a unique situation. It's not probably most women.
Mhm.
But since a year had gone by, I'm like, it's possible. And she's very tall. Like tall
Okay.
people, they're blessed with the weight being distributed the long way.
Long way. That's funny. Okay, so we get to the
I
reunion and they're no longer together.
could tell by the way Derek was looking. His
How'd you
facial
know?
expressions, I don't know, he didn't seem like all happy and giddy.
Okay, fully there. Well, my
Oh,
heart
yeah.
goes out to both of them because that is an extremely tough thing, but especially Megan because it was her body that was put through that.
Oh, yeah.
So
So
yeah.
they were on track merging their life, and then they said shortly after decision day, they got the news that she had miscarried and everything changed. They started to clash on a lot of things. She said that she wanted to get into couples therapy. Um, I don't know if she said that he didn't want to, but it didn't sound like they did. Ultimately, they had a really bad fight where he said that he didn't love her, and she says he broke up with her over the phone.
To say you don't love somebody, I think is really like, whoa, how did we get here? Like, I would be shocked either because either you're fickle or you mean it.
I will say, given how, well, granted, he was on TV, so we don't know how he argues off TV, but she was more of the explosive one, and he was the one that was more calm and thoughtful with his words in comparison to her. So I don't know. Who knows how this argument went?
He didn't seem to deny it much though. And that's why I was
No.
like, okay, Derek, if that's not what happened, can you blink twice or something? Can you
It
say?
sounds like it happened, but what was the lead up, Megan?
And he said something like there whether it was decision day, whether we had said yes on decision day or not, like the outcome would have been the same. I agree with him. I
Yeah,
agree.
because I think we all were like, yeah, it's because y'all are having this child, you're going to put your best foot forward. But these two,
I didn't see it working at all. I agree with him.
he he said, I knew she wasn't the right person for me, and that neither one of us were happy.
Hmm.
She's
You,
offended by how he's talking about the relationship and feels like it wasn't all bad.
yeah, well, because she just watched it back and now
But
she's seeing. Like
yeah,
now
but
that I
even the
know.
parts
Hmm.
that were more positive was because you were excited about this thing, this baby. And you weren't maybe digging like you should have.
See, but they had some positive things like outside of that. The sense of humor, they seem to be very on
Yeah.
board with. And when it comes to like, sense of humor and fun times, it seemed like after what happened, she could only remember the negative parts. And so now she's in a different headspace where she's like, oh, there
Mm-hmm.
was so much positive. And, maybe he's in the place where he's just seeing the negative.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all aren't on the same page and don't need to be because y'all aren't together anymore. Also, I don't think there's ever a, a, a good way to break up, like a right way to break up. I think we can all agree doing it over the phone is a wrong way, but I don't. Sometimes I feel like with breakups, no matter what the person does, it's never a good thing. Like
Mm-mm.
whether they sit there and they cuddle with you while they break your heart, or if they storm out and are harsh like some other
Mm-hmm.
people. There's no there are maybe few breakup etiquette rules that people can follow.
Yeah, because you'd always wish that you'd known sooner. It was done a different way.
Or if they cuddle with you and they're like nice and warm, it's like, oh well, why be nice and warm with me when you're just gonna leave? Or there's not a right way.
And I do think that there is something to people trying to navigate breakups based off, like, they may try to anticipate how you're going to react, and that also may impact how they do it or don't do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Let
so
Megan tell her he was on Raya just 2 months ago, but he's been in a relationship for 7 months, and he said that he is very happy.
yeah.
Do with that information what you will. All right, Brittany
Mm.
and Will.
Finally, we get here.
Decision day. I'll let you start.
So, we end the previous episode with Will calling her to say it's going to be a no. She says that she almost doesn't want to believe it and that maybe she should keep fighting. Um, she says when she woke up this morning, she was really hopeful. She said that she understood where they both stood, and there was no indication it would be anything other than a definitive yes. Girl, did we watch the same season, or you participated? I watched. Okay.
Yeah, but I think because they ended off on a good. I just remember the last scene we saw of them before going into decision day, and it was very much I love you. You know, there had been on the up and up of saying, I want this, I want to be with you. And so I think if you're a Brittany and you are very optimistic or hopeless romantic or whatever it is that, you know, she identifies with, then you can have that type of, and I think Will expected that too. Like I think they were on a good enough page that he felt like he needed to let her know, hey, it's actually going to be a no. So I don't think they were on
Hmm.
bad terms. And so
No.
for me, it's not shocking that she felt it would be a yes.
Yeah, I
Other
agree. I
things are
don't
shocking
think they
though.
were on bad terms, but I think in terms of evaluating moving forward, I think he was looking at the totality of the experience, and I think she was looking at the last 2 days.
Which I think that's absolutely true. And not just the last 2 days, but also like a romanticized version of all the positive times.
Mm.
You know, I think that's what she was looking at. But I think I've seen it enough times to know
Mhm.
that, you know, people are looking for something that they can hold on to make the thing work. I think sometimes people are advised to do that. Or they hear of couples where it's like, oh, I just I just needed that one thing that inspired us to keep going and it works out for them. But these things aren't formula. Like it's not gonna
Yeah.
work every time for everybody. So yeah, it might have worked for other people, but you fighting and you holding on, it's not gonna work for you like it worked for them.
Yeah. She says she didn't even know if she wanted to show up, but she feels like we should both hear each other out because she takes marriage seriously. And I thought, girl, go home. But she shows up.
I think Brittany, but she shows up. I think Brittany is the type of person who likes to have conversations about things. I'm not saying that's a
Hmm.
negative thing. And maybe she's the type of person who likes to have closure conversations, you know?
Hmm.
And I think that'll suit her well when she's paired up with someone who's also interested in conversation to the level that she is. I think
Hmm.
Will is like, my decision is made, and that's what I want to do. And there were other things too, even after what happened after decision day. She wanted to have conversations about it, and he's like, no, there are no conversations. I'm done.
I I don't know that I believe she was quite looking for closure. I think she was looking for the opportunity to have a conversation to convince Will to get on board. At least when she shows up to the decision day, where she was like, "Oh, I take marriage seriously," and when she was like, "Oh, I feel like we should hear each other out."
Yeah,
When
I
I think
agree
of,
with you. I
yeah.
think what I'm saying is she strikes me as the type of person who, the type of person who would say, "Oh, I just need closure on this." So I wouldn't be surprised
Mm,
if even after he said, like if he had said no on decision day after the conversation. She needs conversations and then she needs closure, which when it comes to breakups, I think that's too much to need and sometimes you just got to take the L and hold it. But
mhm,
I think she just is the person who needs to talk things out over and over and over and over until it makes sense to her. And everybody's not trying to do that. And everybody shouldn't have to do that.
mm. Okay. He comes in first and he lets the experts know that he told her no. They look to be surprised by this information. Um, he says that he feels like he's not doing anything to her liking or standard. And that his feelings don't matter and aren't enough. He says he doesn't want to be with a partner where he feels like he's not enough. Do you think that Will Do you think this whole thing with especially how she handled what happened on the boat is just one thing that Will is latching on to and just won't let go of?
um, I think, like you said, we observed and he experienced. I think he's just
Mm,
very much a realist,
mm-hmm.
whereas she's being a more optimistic. So yeah, I don't necessarily think he's latching onto anything. I think there were enough things that happened that showed us this shouldn't be, and he picked up on that, and she wasn't gonna make the decision, so
So
he had
somebody had
to.
to.
That's what
Yeah.
I think. Why do you think he was lashing onto certain things?
Um, I don't think he was latching on. I agree that he experienced her, and I think she may call it closure. I say she's trying to sell this man on why he should still be with her.
Hmm.
But I think it was kind of interesting how we spent the majority of the season with Brittany feeling like she wasn't enough or was questioning the whole relationship. And then it kind of flipped to where he was almost saying the same thing about her, but in a different way. And I'm not saying that he did that on purpose. I just think that that's interesting. Like she was the one kind of riding the wave of maybe he needs to prove he's interested in me and all in. And then during this decision day, it was a lot of her affirming him and you're so this and you're so that. I thought that was just an interesting flip of events.
Yeah, but can I say it, I also think it's true. I don't necessarily think not that I don't think he was like trying to do enough. I just think by nature of who he is, the things she wants in a partner, he
He's
maybe
yeah.
just cannot be. And
Mm-mm.
he would so it was interesting that it had flipped, but I also thought it was very valid. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't foresee anything that he can in a short period of time do that would fulfill the things that she needs in a partner. She just needs a different person, like a not a Will.
And this is where I was like, well, maybe we should have seen more because she goes on this whole thing about how he's just an amazing person, how he brings her so much joy. I can see how you love and care about me. She just goes on and on and on. Where was this Will during the season? If you felt this fulfilled, then
I think
what?
she felt fulfilled. Hmm.
Then were the tears for no reason, or are you lying right now and gassing him up so he'll say yes?
You know what I think it is, Neosha? And it's a little sad. I think there were moments where we saw him caring for her. I think there were moments where we saw that he
Hmm.
was kind and we saw that he was thoughtful. And she had shared these sentiments throughout the season before. Remember, like there would be times where they would have an issue and then she would say, "Oh, he's so great, he's so that, he's so whatever."
Hmm.
I I think there's this fear for Brittany, and I don't know if it comes from I don't ever want to claim like or put low self esteem on anybody, right? So
Hmm.
that's not what I'm saying. But I think there's this thing of those moments when I see kindness in him, when I see thoughtfulness in him, like I know he's capable of it. So maybe I should hold on to someone who I know is capable of it because maybe this is as good as it's gonna get. Like I don't know. It can be
Hmm.
hard, maybe, to believe that there are people who will actually be kind, thoughtful all the time. And so I think
Hmm.
it's just like her holding on to those moments where he was those things and seeing the potential rather than seeing the like realities of the everyday. That's what I think it was. So I don't think
Yeah.
she's lying. I just think she was okay with like she was okay with the crumbs and maybe didn't
Hmm.
believe she could have a full piece of bread.
And then, but all of a sudden on this decision day, the crumbs mean so much
To
because.
somebody who's starving, yeah. Seriously, if you've never experienced like kindness before, right?
Hmm.
And this person shows you kindness twice a week, you'd rather have the twice a week kindness than
Hmm.
the zero times a week kindness. I just think
True.
she's starved of the things that she rightfully wants, and I see that with other women too. And it's like no,
Hmm.
there's better out there, but sometimes you just gotta wait real long for it, or sometimes it's not coming. Everybody's not gonna end up with a
Yeah, that's
soulmate or
true.
something. Like I don't know.
She says, no one has ever done that for me. But Brittany, you
And
spent a
kept.
lot of the season crying and questioning whether you were his person, if he's into you. He's also crying.
When,
What you staring at me for?
he okay, so he does have emotion in there, was what I thought. And I don't think I think his tears were genuine. You don't think so?
I don't know. I
It was a little questionable, but I landed on, you know what? I think these are his authentic tears.
you remember when I called Juan from Chicago his telenovela tears? It wasn't that bad,
Yeah.
but it wasn't far off. So I don't know. But
Yeah. I said his crying, I think his crying also did something to her, because she hasn't seen maybe that level of emotion in him.
hmm
And so, he talks about, oh, well, I obviously can't undo the call that I did this morning, so I'm going to think about it, which I appreciated him taking some time to think about it. I think that was the reasonable thing to do. I just also didn't agree with his response at the end.
yeah, he says, he didn't know that she felt all these things for him. I guess from his perspective, she
Yeah.
spent a lot of the season complaining about all the things that he didn't do right.
But she said
Um,
those things before. Like, was that our first? Am I crazy, or was that our first time hearing that? And I think that's why it surprised me that his answer changed, because I'm like, she said these things before, but you still came to the conclusion that this wasn't your forever person. Stand 10 toes down with that decision. She's not your forever person.
I just he should have stood on his answer, but I also think what she said during the decision day, she said a little bit in her confessional cam. She said here and there to him.
Mhm.
I just think his answer shifted given how emotional she was. The experts are right there. I think his real decision was what he called her, because he didn't want it to be the first time she was hearing it face to face, given how things had gone.
Do you
So
do you think he expected her to call off decision day and maybe not show up?
I think he expected her to not show up. hmm
Interesting.
I
Yeah,
I think
I
he expected her to not show up, or even if she did, for it to just be a confirmation. Because if I think back to the scene of when he first walked up, he was very serious. You know, his energy told that he was still feeling a
yeah.
no.
Here's what I will say. This isn't necessarily what I would do, but I don't mind if you are taking something seriously, if you care about a relationship or whatever. I don't
Mhm.
mind you showing up to a decision day and saying, "Listen, if it's gonna end, it's gonna end, but I want to make sure that you know that I'm coming from a place of I love you, I care for you." I don't think there's anything wrong with putting out there like, this is what I want. And if you don't want it, that's cool. So I'm not gonna, be hard on her for her coming to decision day and saying, "Hey, this is something that I really want. This is something I take seriously. I want to be with you, whatever." What I do mind is he's already said no to you once. Okay, you decide to fight for it. um what I do mind is now he's telling you no again, and you're still wanting conversation. I think for most people, you only have to tell them once.
And maybe that's why he called her, because he's spent 8 weeks with her. He knows how much she wants to talk and go round and round on
Mm-hmm.
things. Maybe that's why he was like, let it be a preliminary call so the shock is out of the way
Mm-hmm.
and we're just kind of wrapping things up. But I think she took it as an opportunity to it's almost kind of felt like a sales pitch to a certain extent. And I'm not saying that she shouldn't express her feelings, but to be honest, I think she had already said enough. My expectations were you can show up and say how you feel, but now you confirm the no. Oh, you said no. I said how I felt. I was all
Mm-hmm.
in. here's my no. But
Yeah.
not for you to go off on a tangent and say all of what you said. Like,
Also, Brittany's favorite thing to say is, "This is stupid." Like she said that so many times. But yeah, I think she's just starved for what she is looking for in a relationship. Maybe doesn't believe. I don't know. Yeah, I think sometimes we come from backgrounds where people are like, "Oh, you have to fight for what you want," and specifically, they talk about that with relationships. So I could see that type of influence here. And I think if you're fighting and the other person isn't, is that, can we call that a fight?
it's not. Either way, he says that he's willing to give them a try in the real world. Did you think they were still together?
Miosha. I said
Made it,
last
but
week.
one
Oh, by the
day.
way, I was right. They said yes on decision day. Remember last
Oh
week when
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
said
You were
I
right.
think they
Yeah.
convinced each other? I was still shocked that it happened, but no, I didn't.
Did
You
they
can't.
convince each other, or did she convince him?
I think she convinced him in this round, but there have been moments where I think
Mm-hmm.
he's convinced her, and
Oh
I
well,
think
yeah. Early, before
that
decision day.
pattern was
Yeah.
why I thought she could convince him. But I didn't think they
Mm.
would. I didn't think they stood a chance last week. I felt like I felt that they would give it a good try, but eventually it would fall apart because she would be insecure because he said he didn't want her initially. It fell apart differently than I thought it would, but I never thought it would last.
Yeah. So their divorce for over a year. They said that after decision day, he had to travel for work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I think he comes back. She said she had an inkling that things are going to end. Girl, what was that inkling? The say
I think
what?
despite the inkling, I think she felt the inkling and she thought she could fight her way out of it again. And it's like at
Mm-hmm.
this point, girl, take that inkling. You know what you take with inklings like that? You take them and then you plan you plan for how you're gonna end it before they do. That's what you do. You're like, you know what? Before he even when he came in from the work trip, hey, sit down, let's talk. Based on
Mm-hmm.
the lack of communication over the last few days, I can already tell this isn't gonna work. And you be the one to close that door. You don't let him do it again.
Not again. But either way, um, I think Kevin asked him, why didn't you just say no, this, to Will? And he was like, he didn't want to hurt her and she was crying. Um, she says that he was overly rude and stern. And he says, yeah, I felt like I had to for you to really get the hint and get the point that I was serious. And she said she tried to fight it. And we see the behind the scenes camera of her just kind of running behind him and saying, just say that you love me. She still was not willing to accept it.
Like I said, I think people come from backgrounds where they're encouraged to fight the way that we saw her fight. And I could see that influence really heavy. Do you think he was overly rude though?
No.
I think he was.
Yeah, I think he was more short, but Will never gave much emotion one way or the other the whole season. And
Well,
so,
he didn't give it one way, but he gave it the other. And that's why I think it was all that more um like rude intense is because I've not seen a whole lot of this in the positive direction, and I've seen a lot of it in the mid section,
yeah,
but
he's
now
been
I'm
more
seeing it
mid.
fully in the negative. I think he did what he had to do. I think he did have to be direct. I don't think he should have
Yeah, I
hugged
took it as
her, told her
direct.
he loved her, like the things that she was asking for. I think he was absolutely right. But like I said, like I'm not faulting him for it. There's not a right way to do it. I see why he felt like this is how I need to be for her to get the point. But maybe there was some type of difference.
I Okay, I'll give you there could have been some type of difference, but I don't think he could have been any more soft because she would
More
have saw
soft.
that as a door to enter to
Like
try to
he
keep
said.
them in this cycle. So it had to be direct, it had to be stern and to the point, quick. He quickly went in the room, got his stuff, got out of there. I think it had to be that way. And even with all of that, apparently she follows up with texts and calls to where he feels the need to block her number. And then she still follows up with a letter that she didn't mail, but she took to his apartment directly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, ma'am.
I do think that was excessive completely. I like I said, I think for him, you wouldn't have had to be cold, stern, and rude had you just ended it on decision day like you had planned. And then for
Hmm.
her, you know, his no the morning of decision day should have been the last no you allowed him to tell you. Um, it's okay, you go and you share your feelings if that's what you need to do. Fine, I'll accept that. But that's where it cuts off. But again, I think when you are starved for certain types of affections, and I think when you know, as women, when you're getting to a certain age and you want the things that you want, but maybe you're not finding the right match, I think that can be very frustrating. So
And I will say, so something about his demeanor when they were kind of wrapping up, where he was talking about how she came over to the apartment and no, he didn't read the letter. There were a few chuckles out of him, a little bit of excitement I felt in his energy. I think at this point, at a certain time, part of him may have been excited a bit around her behavior and chasing him.
look how she's crashing out because of me
I think he was enjoying the crash out to a certain extent.
a little bit.
Like the way I said, this is the most chuckles and smiles we've gotten out of this guy
And
when
then
they're
him
talking about her crashing out.
And then
Okay.
him saying, well, they said you came to the apartment multiple times. And she was like, hold on. First, she said, listen, I might have left every ounce of my dignity on this national television show, but what I did not do is come back multiple times for you. Jalen lives in the same apartment, so yes, they've seen me, but it wasn't for you. At this point, who cares? But yeah,
Yeah.
and what I enjoyed and kind of wish he would have stuck with this when Kevin was like, "Oh, well, he didn't read the letter. Is there anything you want to say to him now?" And she was like, "No."
No. And she should have left it at that. But she still had to have the final word.
It's not even
Brittany,
the final word. It's like I
she
don't
just
care
wants
how
to
nice
talk
he's being to
more.
you. He's the enemy. No, I'm just kidding.
I knew once he said a few nice things, she was like, oh, well, I guess I'll. No,
But
give him nothing.
I think she's a nice girl. Like I think she's a nice girl in the way that society has trained women to be nice. And so you got to come up off of that. You can be a kind-hearted person, but you don't owe people your words. You don't owe him any words, right?
After he said he never read the letter, he blocked you. And
Yeah.
even she, I think, went and gave him a hug after. I don't know. Something is giving me if Will.
She was being too
I'm
nice to
sorry.
him.
She looks absolutely stunning, looking beautiful. The way you wouldn't be able to touch me.
We wouldn't even make eye contact. I would be looking at the host the entire time. And Brittany, you are gorgeous. Stand up. Stand up
Looking
right now.
absolutely beautiful. Makeup, hair,
And you
body,
have a nice
smile.
personality. You know what I'm saying? You are a little on edge. But like we said with Josh, nobody's gonna remember that in a little bit, girl. You got a nice little package going for you, and you better know it. You
The
better.
way he was smiling and laughing when they were talking about her crashing out, that did it for me. Well, you took some pleasure
You did.
in this woman just being so caught up on you, but the gag is it wasn't you. It wasn't you, Will. She just wanted to be married. So
She just wants to be loved.
she just wanted to be loved, but it wasn't. anything about you specifically. So come off the high horse.
I think it was some things about him specifically, but I won't list them because, yeah, come off your high horse.
No, even when she was like, "Oh, he's such a unique person, and I love the way his mind works." Really, you do because you keep crashing out based off the way his mind
You can be
works.
unique and you still not love it. Like, that is perfectly okay. Because I'm telling you, the way I would avoid somebody like him, like like once I start to see, oh, you're not like you don't get the emotionally intelligent aspect of things,
It's a
it's a chop
wrap.
for me. Yeah.
A wrap.
Anyway, the
But
sun is going down. You guys
yeah.
let us know your thoughts about this season,
Hmm.
about this ending. You know, we wish all the
Hmm.
contestants luck, in
Hmm.
love, in career, in a lot of things. And it was an enjoyable watch. And I'm glad it's
It was
over very soon. And Peacock, you
quick,
can do this again.
quick and to the point. Actually, was it Seattle that's next?
Seattle is next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we shall see. We got a little sneak peek.
Yeah, we did. I don't know when
Um,
it's going to air, but hopefully, I don't know. Do you think they're going to go back to doing twice a year like they used
it'll
to?
probably be the spring.
You think the spring?
Given how
I hope
quick
so.
this aired, my guess
Hmm.
is February, March. They'll probably get us at the heels of Love is Blind.
That'll be smart. Well, we'll
Yeah.
be here. Come back and check our channel in the
Hmm.
interim. And, well, hope you have a good weekend. This Thursday,
Hmm.
Friday. Yeah. Have a good
Yep.
weekend. Bye.
Bye.